Hello everyone, welcome back to another FPL Jedi Show stream. My name is Hafiz and I would like to welcome my co-host Azmin to the stream. How's your feeling after the end of Gameweek 33?
Ugh, what a sucky double game week. That's all I can say. I had two blanks, two zeros. One of them from someone who played twice. We can go into that in detail later because I can vent my frustrations. I think most of us had captains, most of our captains blanked, unless for those daredevil souls who went different, So well done to them. Fair play. Um, but yeah, but I came out of it okay, despite having quite a number of suspect starters as to doubts as to whether or not these players will start. Actually, to be fair, most of us had quite a few concerns as to who would start, given most of the players who double are also involved in other competitions. So the risk of them being rested, bench, less minutes was always going to be there. So it's a bit, I guess, different than previous seasons. Yeah. So where there were still other options, good options that you could take, more solid options. But yeah, here we are. But I'm happy, got a green arrow, and we can go into detail later. And I think you did too, right, Hafiz?
Yep, I think now I have 5 green arrow consecutively. And
Wow.
my rank slightly jumped now to 1 million. Yep, still far away from the rest of the crowd, but hopefully I can end up. I think if I want to end up in the 500k spot, it will be still mountain to climb because it's like 50 plus point away if I want to catch up. But we shall see because there's plenty of match to coming up, especially this game week 34 so-called blank game week because there will be some teams who will not play. 4 teams specifically, and people are preheating this week most likely. Both of us likely will do that, and maybe that can uh, take some chances where some people might not have that opportunity to feel a very good strong side this week because there's some pretty juicy fixture that we can take advantage of. What do you think, mate?
Oh yes, there's still plenty. We just have to really try to navigate the best way we can. So 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. There's only 5 weeks left, for you to make the most of it. If you haven't used your AM chip, for example, you're running out of time because by 36, if you still haven't used your AM chip, you've pretty much wasted, points there. So yeah, so plan it out and optimize, and you be careful about. There's going to be a lot of pressure to follow the popular options a lot,
Yep.
towards especially towards this end, but at the same time, whatever people like me who always like, okay, it's the last few matches, let's go crazy to try to push up the rank. So you need to find the right balance there, so let's do this. Let's
Yep. I think another one that we want to point out, how's underwhelming in terms of the game 83 is because all the big guns that our managers are captaining last week, really disappoint and blank. I just want to point out the most captain last week. I don't know whether you'll be surprised with this. Salah was the highest with 3.3 million managers captain
Oh,
Mo Salah last week. And then
really?
inclusive of self, which Salah ended up with 3 points, but it is still better than other player like, okay, maybe not so in terms of Mamouche. I think there's also four more in terms of captaining Mamouche, but 1.5 million only captain Mamouche last week, inclusive myself, and we rewarded only by 4 points because like 2 appearance point from the first game, and then the second game another 2 points. I think that's where those 4 points, 1 point over than Salah. We still take that. Then after that, Saka was the third most captain player last week, 1 million manager, but end up only with 2 points. And then I said fourth also end up with 2 points, and Mr. Cole Palmer also end up with 2 points. So pretty much top 5 all blank, but the highest is 4 points with Mr. Mamush. So there's nothing much different, despite the FOMO of Saka could have a big haul, but end up his sub out early in the first game and then starting from the bench in the second game against Palace.
Yeah, it's a very underwhelming in terms of captains, but of course, if you found some magic, those of you who went for the Trossard pick, for example, that would have paid you a lot of dividends. And even some picks, like Watkins, a problem with Watkins who I had, the question of how they would rotate was always going to be a problem. You knew, and I think the especially with Arsenal, Aston Villa, and Crystal Palace, these teams will always having that risk because they all double game, but they're all running that risk of bench, and we saw that. We saw Saka get benched in the second game. We saw Mateta, Sarr get benched. We saw Watkins get benched. So the risk was always there. Just still finding the right player who would perform in 1 week and one match and not the other one. So if you got most of those, well done. Yeah. So unfortunately, the popular ones, Saka, Mamush, were all disappointing. But at the same time, those of you who doubled up on Arsenal Arsenal defense, that first game would have been extra points for you. But because Arsenal had a lot of people scoring who were not popular FPL assets, but they took away all those bonuses that the Arsenal defense would have taken if the match had 1-0, 2-0. So that is the loss there. Yeah, but you win some, you lose some. So I would have been happy with a clean sheet, and of course, if you had Kiwi, that's amazing. Yeah, I'd be perfectly happy with that.
All right. Okay. I think before we jump to what the talking point for Game Week 34, I believe everyone is looking forward this Blank Game Week where free hit active people are looking at what player to come on. I think I would like to welcome Liverpool Aiden Ross to the stream and sorry ask about the best efficient player. I believe Azmin has his own thinking and I also have my own thinking because depending on the rank, like myself, I got nothing to lose. 1 million or 1.5 million or 500k is still in the higher zone in terms of not in the bracket of 50k or below. But for yourself, maybe. But you're someone who can be aggressive. You did talk about offline, talking about should I go aggressive or should I do conservatively this Game 34? But I believe you will have that kind of thinking.
Yes, so I really love that question, and it there's quite a few that I've bandied about. So yeah, but no, we'll take a look at that. I have a few that I'm interested in.
Fair. Let's jump to how we perform in game week 33. A quick one. I end up with 84 points. I use all my 4 transfer because I think I have to address the Gabriel injury. So you can see there I brought in Kivior for Gabriel and it's end up with 13 points. Great stuff. Cheap player, 4.8 million. I never really look at Saliba and his price at 6.5 million. I know it's the more popular asset. And Kivior, when I look at back how much in terms of ownership is only at 1.8% managers and maybe slightly higher now. So really differential overall. Maybe in the top 10k will be slightly higher. But Kivior clean sheet in the first game and then scored a goal. I didn't saw that goal, but at least that goal and bring it 7 points from that match because end up with 2-2. Other player that I brought in, I never really look at Saka because Saka is the one that people will bring in Game Week 33. No doubt, He's the popular one. He is the most transferred in last game week 33 anyway. But in terms of my rank, and I'm thinking like Saka could be a problem in moving forward when you want to address the game week 35, 36, where the semi-final Champions League will sandwich between them, and most definitely you will be having headache where the Saka going to start and thinking whether you need to sub Saka on your bench. So I don't want those headache, and I'll go for KDB, and the motivation is that Man City want to end up in the Champions League spot, the top 5, and they really in the mix. A lot of teams are competing in that spot: Newcastle, Forest, Chelsea, Villa, and I believe KDB after that haul in game week 32, but not so much in game week 33. 5 points I still take, despite no return. 3 points from the game against Everton and 2 points return only from against Villa. But he actually should end up with 1 bonus point. I don't know how he lost that 1 point. And you know that 1 bonus point goes to who? Mr. Rashford. And I think Rashford end up with 9 points. So, wow. Rashford is better pick than Rogers this week. I can say that 9 points over 7. If you look at the final points for this game with 33, that is my second pick. Then the third one I brought in Rogers. I think people did bring that. End up with 7 points. I really locked in terms of Rogers. I don't have anything to say about it. But I think the one that I'm debating until the end, until the wire, in terms of picking up the fourth player. In the last stream, I was really bullish in terms of Trossard. That is the player that I'm looking at. If I want triple on Arsenal, double up in defense, I go for Trossard as differential. But I don't know whether this is overthinking or not, because after that I'm thinking, will Trossard also can be a headache moving forward? Maybe he could play in 35, but how about 37, 38? So I want to address that. I end up with Bowen. He could easily got a double-digit point until that Southampton scored a goal, because he and Areola on 3 bonus points. Can you imagine that? Areola at 7 points, clean sheet, and 1 save point, and 3 bonus points. Bowen potentially 11 points, but that swipe out. And who's the scorer? Ogochui, if I'm right. He's actually a Chelsea player anyway, loanee from Chelsea, and he got all bonus point. And Bowen end up like, I think 2 or 1. Emerson end up with 2. So really wipe out that my points from there. But moving forward, Bowen should be integrated into my team. I will keep him until the end, because offline we did discuss. Game week 35, he plays Spurs, who will be in miss up in Europa League. 36, play Manchester United, potentially could have double game week. And game week 38, Bowen will play Ipswich away. Despite away, I think it's still a good matchup, and anything can happen in 38. So that's my team. I can say Mateta scored 10 points. Really, finally, he delivered something. But someone like yourself who have Eze, I think maybe that the players that people are better than Asa. And I just want to point at one player, Mr. Burn. Okay, Dan Burn. End up with -2, scored own goal. And when I compare back, if I did bring Livramento over Burn, definitely I have more points than whatever I'm having right now. But pretty much this is the team. So I bench voting in 33, and you can see my bench is producing like 8 -2. So 6 point, I guess. So that's my team, man.
Yeah, I guess the main thing that Mateta, because I was actually up watching. I was actually up watching that match, the second half. So it was great. Then see Mateta come in and because also tracking my live rank, and the Mateta goal was such a huge swing to my rank. I totally dropped in it, but at the same time it was not as bad, because it also knocked out. It also caused -1s to those with Arsenal double defense, so it helped. And Mateta's goal knocked out Kiwior's bonus points. He didn't get a single bonus point, Kiwior, because of that goal. Yeah. So yeah.
And Mateta grabbed all the 3 bonus points.
Yes, just like that, he just grabbed all 3 bonus points. Yeah. So yeah, so good job there, and at the end of the day, so now it's a case of waiting to see what happens in this weekend when the FA Cup comes around. So we've seen a bit of pattern. They like in Glasner's case, he did rest or bench, not rest, but bench Sar and Mateta, for example. But you know, it's clear that the fact that they were still introduced in shows that he still wants to get something out of this, you know. And whether it's just to make sure they get a good workout before the FA Cup, but judging by the way they played, they were still trying to get the 4 points before the sucker punch happened. But yeah, so I do feel that regardless of what happens in the FA Cup, I think Palace are still good assets to continue with, because I think they will still make a fight for it, regardless of what happens in the FA Cup.
Yeah. So talk through about your team, in, because you're also not that far from me. 80 points, still excellent, and some players who you do not own but offset from other players who being excellent, the likes of Watkins and Eze. I can say that.
Yeah, so I entered this game week really like, you know, sakit hati with myself, thinking of all the bad choices I made during the wild card, even though you know, so like for example, Timber, first game he didn't play, did not come in at all. Damien, first game didn't come in at all, and of course Livramento was he played, but Newcastle got trashed by Villa.
Villa, yeah.
Yeah. And Eze, first game at halftime, he was subbed out. Yeah, which was so that Saka, to be and frankly speaking, with Saka, I wasn't that fast. Because I had Captain Salah, so it was not in my best interest to. So I was very happy to see Saka and Mamouche blank the first game, only for Salah to blank. But fortunately, it didn't hurt me at the end. Yeah, so Rodgers was the ever-present. So Rodgers was my transfer for the week. And yeah, he gave me points, nothing special, because he did. I sold Johnson to bring in Rodgers. That was my transfer. But at the end of the day, my best decision was back in my wild card in game week 32, which I brought in. Sorry, game week 31. Sorry,
31. Yes.
Which I brought in Watkins. So Watkins, he did it for me. Sorry. In game week 32, I took a hit to bring in Watkins. Yeah,
and take out Isaac.
Yeah, so you see my wildcard, still a few mistakes because I had Rashford in it as well, who I've already sold. But I know Rashford scored, but I still believe Watkins is the better pick moving forward. So other picks, Salah, Eze, Rodgers, Guardiola, nothing special. Timber got the assist. Damien got the assist, which is better than Dinian. And he could have had another assist, but the second Arsenal goal was ruled out. It could have been an assist for Martinelli because the ball had just gone out of play, and before Timber kicked it back into the field. But of course, if I had got that, then maybe Henderson wouldn't have gotten that as many marks either. So then Digne was my most ridiculous experience, where he didn't play the entire first game. So in the second game, I checked the lineup. Oh, he's starting. Nice. Proceed to see him. So he started at 1 point, gets himself carded 0, then makes it to 60, gets his 1 point back, then concedes another goal, goes back to 0.
That's how it happens, that 0 points.
So useless. So I went through that roller coaster. But at the end of the day, one of my MVPs that I'm happy with, my single game week player, Cunha, who didn't manage to do much most of the match until he managed to draw a foul, which led to the goal
from Sarabia.
Yeah, and with amazing free kick, by the way. But just like that, he gets the assist and he makes off with all 3 bonus points. He didn't Yeah, so it was just
Did he start?
he
Starts,
started, he
right?
started. He played the
Okay,
full. He played the full. It
right.
was just, there was nothing happening, it's like, and yeah, but the moment he got a return, he runs off with the bonus points despite Sarabia's fantastic kick.
So I just want to point out that's how powerful Cunha is.
Yes. Yeah, so this week we're gonna see a lot of Cunha with the free hit coming in. So
Yeah, yeah.
but I'm the one who's gonna own him after 34
All right.
or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. We have permanently in your
Yeah.
team. From the rest of us, if let's say we're free hitting, you need to bring him in if you really want him from 35 onwards. I just
Yeah.
want to
So
point out one thing. Yeah. I just want to point out about Mamush. I don't know whether you see the highlight. The Bernardo Silva goal was so called being supplied by Mamush. So I was like, hey, come on lah, give lah this assist. But I don't know how they didn't
there
count
was
that.
a very light deflection, if someone. Mamush had the offside goal, but then the offside was so miles offside. It was just
So you can imagine FPL is like this, right? So when you didn't expect, he produced fantasy assists, but when you want him to produce something, he doesn't produce, right? So that's how it is. But I think, yeah.
So just one more thing for Crystal Palace. I think for owners of Sa, if you had watched the match this morning, you'll be so frustrated because he had quite a few good chances. It's just like yeah. So as for Mateta's goal, well, I think we will all thank Saliba. Thanks Saliba for mucking around at the back and gifting Crystal Palace the Mateta goal. So yeah.
Okay, Brian Annis did mention many team blank. I guess if you're talking about game 34, there will be 4 team blank. But if you're talking about 33, means that could be a lot of.
Unless he's talking about the captaincy blanks.
Could be. Yeah, we agree on that. Right. So I think let's move on to what excites us this week, man. This is the time to have fun, right? So let's preview the blank game week 34. Why we call it blank game week 34? Because this week the FA Cup semi-final will take place, of which 4 teams will involve. Crystal Palace will play Villa, and then Forest will play City. With that, Arsenal, Villa, Crystal Palace, and City will blank because they already previously played in game week 33, the extra match, and they will blank this week. And you can see only 8 matches we play on Saturday, Sunday, and for Forest, they will play during the midweek because they have like spare midweek that they can play. So their matches still keep in the game week 34. That's I just want to touch. So what team will play in game week 34? Start off with Chelsea versus Everton, early kickoff on Saturday. So this on paper, I know people looking at could be someone that Chelsea especially can take advantage, but I don't think you can say that easily. But we can take a look at the odds later. Then Brighton versus West Ham United, interesting. Okay, despite people talking about Brighton defensively not have been conceding goals, but West Ham not really strong in terms of, because they only managed to draw against Southampton at home. And then Newcastle, I think it's a money ball game. I like this one because all the promoter sides are playing different teams, the likes of Newcastle, and then Southampton playing at home against Fulham, and then Wolves at home against Leicester. Southampton and Leicester pretty much already relegated. Ipswich is
this will be the week.
But this is the week, and with playing away to Newcastle is just a matter of goals, and we can see that. And then interestingly, on Sunday, Bournemouth versus Manchester United, who could have one eye to the Europa League competition. So Bournemouth match could be interesting despite not much interest. And I think this is the big one. Liverpool versus Spurs. This is the party time for Liverpool. They only need a point, and they will get that point this week at home against Spurs. And this could be a high-scoring game. Last but not least, Forest versus Brentford. I don't know. I think this is a tough one to call. And we do not know how Forest will be after the FA Cup semi-final. They could lose and their morale could be low. And they're fighting a good team, in the form of Brentford. So these are the matches for Gameweek 34. What's your comment, Min?
Yeah, I just jumped to that last one because the problem with Forest and Brentford is that taking any Forest player is a risk, is an extra risk. You know, you just now you mentioned morale, if depending on how that pickup game goes, but also injury. Imagine you pick up Chris Wood and he gets injured. You know, it's going to be so annoying. But to be fair, those of you who free hit, at least you can be prepared for it. You have your contingency plan by having people on the bench to cover in case people get knocked out from Forest to injury. So, for example, if you have Chris Wood, I strongly recommend you make sure that your bench is strong enough to so they can substitute in if these people get injured. And even on the keeper, if you had Cells, for example, if Cells gets injured, at least for those of you who free hit this game week, then at least you have a backup keeper who can come in. Yeah, but so that's the Forest Brentford. So there's quite a few of, as you mentioned just now, really juicy. Newcastle, Ipswich, Newcastle still chasing. There are three different teams involved in three different situations. You've got Newcastle chasing the Champions League spot, playing at home to Ipswich. Looks just crazy. Then you have Fulham against Southampton. Fulham have always been in the middle, hereabouts, and now they play Southampton, who no longer have their manager and they're just playing for pride, but they're playing at home. So you would think that they might just go out and try to play, however they want to play, which will open gaps for Fulham. Then you have Wolves, who were at one point battling relegation under Vitor Pereira. They've done really, really well and just get points. Manchester United, the latest victim, and now they're at home against Leicester, and who just confirmed their relegation. And if you remember, if you saw Jamie Vardy coming out with a statement admitting that they were shite, they were rubbish. so yeah, it's sad, but it's true, and a lot of blame I put on the Leicester's management. But
and I believe I saw a statement that Jamie Vardy is leaving Leicester. That's what I heard.
Well, he'll probably head out over to the MLS. The guy is kind of old anyway, so it's not a big real loss. But he will be missed at Leicester. Of course, he was a loyal servant at Leicester.
Yeah,
but
agree.
But you're right. You're especially right because you got Bournemouth, Manchester United, Liverpool versus Spurs. Liverpool wanting to celebrate, but at the same time, Spurs being distracted by the Europa.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's two things there. That's also my birthday, so so I would like to celebrate with Liverpool winning the league on my birthday. That would be fantastic. And so would love that. That'd be one of the best things.
Can I conclude? I think the four matches clearly that people should target before we're looking at the odds. Newcastle, Ipswich, Fulham, Southampton, Wolves versus Leicester. Teams are playing the promoted side, so now some of them are relegated. And Liverpool himself, I think that's the clear matches that we should target.
Yep, and at one point I fiddled. We'll look out free hit draws later. But at one point I toyed with the idea of having 3 Newcastle, 3 Fulham, 3 Wolves, and two Liverpool. Yeah, because these promoted teams have just shown themselves to be really poor. And 2 are already confirmed relegation and 1 coming soon by this weekend. So it just makes sense because you can't see these teams improving. Yeah.
I think I like that strategy. Why we need to overthink? Just load up with these players who should have a really good high scoring game, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, the case of is the whole throwing all eggs in one basket risk kind of thing, Suddenly Ipswich decide to randomly turn up, you can't legislate that. But my season this season, my thinking has been you can't take, statistically they've been bad. Why would they suddenly pop up and trash Newcastle, for example? It's not gonna happen.
All the reason that we say Liverpool has their own motivation, Newcastle, Wolves also on good form. Fulham still chasing European spots. So I think those teams still have something to play.
Yes, they
So,
still have a chance to get a European spot, because let's not forget there's 5 Champions League spots, so the Europa spots will trickle down, and the Conference League. So you got potentially 6, 7, and 8. Yeah, but it does depend who wins that FA Cup to grab one of those spots, right?
fair, right. Let's go to see the odds, market odds in terms of what people are projecting this game week 34. As this is definitely data from spreaders and graphic from Rob T FPL. So you can see here some of the prediction in terms of fixture. Let's go see on the left side first. For Chelsea Everton, looks like the advantage at home Chelsea 1.85, not so big, but the clean sheet percentage are quite high, 42%. Maybe Everton in terms of stats and so on, maybe they are not so attacking and they could missing Tarkowski this weekend because potential injury. So we shall look at how that could be. Newcastle are really high, 2.85 and 46% chances keeping clean sheet. And imagine Arsenal win a switch 4-0, right? So Newcastle can do that. Also to Ipswich, both 1.95, not so high, but we're expecting a high scoring game for Wolves and Cunha and a company at Nori, right? These people should in the midst of attacking returns, 40% or clean sheet. Liverpool 2.9, easily the highest, but clean sheet 38%, maybe because nothing to lose, just go for it, and Spurs potentially scored in this game. I think that's how they see. Other than that, not so much for others. Brighton 2 over West Ham. Brighton expecting 2 wins, not so much into quality, 34%. Okay. Fulham slightly lower, 1.95. Maybe away to Southampton. Maybe that's why. And 36%. Southampton, we can see they still can score goals. Bournemouth 1.95 over Manchester United. Is Manchester United, I think in terms of expected goal considered, they quite decent in terms of defensive. I think that's maybe why the calculation is like this, 1.95, 34% of clean sheet. But Forest and Brentford, you can see there, stuff to call. It could end up a draw. So what do you think, mate?
Yeah, so I like the fact that the top one, despite not playing a promoter side, is in terms of goals, is Liverpool at 2.9, followed closely by Newcastle at 2.85. So I guess it's reflective of the fact that maybe Spurs are also distracted, and plus Liverpool wanting to make this a game to remember. So and it's also reflected the fact that the CS percentage is not as high as Chelsea and Newcastle, who have higher, and even Wolves has a higher clean sheet percentage than Liverpool, which goes to show the party atmosphere might lead to a lot of goals scored, but also conceding as well. I know the Liverpool 1-0 last week was not reflective of them. It felt like they were struggling. I don't think that'll be the case this week. And at the end of the day, Liverpool had more than enough chances to score more goals. Salah could have had a hat trick, to be fair.
Okay.
Especially hitting the post twice, for example. And it was just not. It was just one of those days. But to be fair, I think he's only scored 1 goal in the past 8 or 9 now. So that's something to think about, especially later when you want to look at the captaincy options. So Newcastle, Wolves, and Fulham, that's the thing. But Brighton and Bournemouth, the Brighton and Bournemouth's goals options is also about the same as Fulham and Wolves. It's quite reflective, Of course, the problem with Brighton, I think Pedro is suspended, so he's not going to be around. But other than that, it just means that, especially for those who are free hitting, there's so many options. We can see a lot of variety in terms of the teams, even in terms of the captaincy. If you don't go for what Salah has the most popular option, I don't think you're gonna gonna be too bad if you. It might be just down to luck because I think everyone has a good chance. If you have Newcastle, you captain Isaac, for example, and even Wolves, you captain Cunha.
Yep.
Yeah, Fulham maybe not because there's no real established power striker who can haul. Yeah, but even Chelsea, if you want to play at Captain Palmer, I wouldn't. But I've been seeing a lot of Twitter, and
Yep, I agree.
and there's a lot of talk about having Palmer, which we can talk about that later. But for me, it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I think it depends how we feel about our free hitting because there's a lot of option. We can go anywhere, and I don't think there's any right or wrong answer because in the end you can justify your picks, but the outcome, the result later, that matters.
Yeah.
Can we just take a look at the right side in terms of teams to target, total goals, Liverpool on top, so people doubling up, triple up. Newcastle, I think we can agree on that. But third one, Brighton at 2. Do you agree that I don't think people are looking at so much in terms of Brighton assets, but is it someone that a team that we should look at in terms of getting one of the attacker, the like of Welfare or Mitoma say?
I honestly don't see it, because you've got okay, you got West Ham, although attacking they don't do much. I mean, they do get results, but then defensive have been quite strong. They've really definitely improved under Graham Potter, and it's led to them being safe now. I do feel that this is overvalued for Brighton at 2, especially considering Joao Pedro is not around. Of course, Mitoma and Minte, I feel that this valuation is based on historical where Brighton can score. This isn't it because even that clean sheet of 34%, I don't agree with that either because I think West Ham will be able to score and they will score. Its chances of West Ham scoring should be much better than that 1.08. Let's not forget the fact that Graham Potter inside West Ham returning to Brighton. I'm sure he will have he wants to show that that Chelsea stint was a anomaly and he can hold his old team. Yeah, of course he'll be warmly received at Brighton, but I'm sure he'll want to be there. So I would not pick up anyone from Brighton for this free hit. Not considering there's so many juicy other matches elsewhere. So for me, I'm ruling out there.
Fair. Other than that, Bournemouth, Fulham, Wolves, I think they're in the same bracket, and then Chelsea, so slightly lower than that if you're thinking about those Chelsea attacker. But in terms of clean sheet, Newcastle and Chelsea in the top 2. So maybe if they say Chelsea could be a player that if you're thinking about potential clean sheet, maybe, but attacking slightly lower they consider. Wolves also has potential to keep clean sheet because, like you mentioned just now, Leicester has been rubbish, and I think they scored like one or 2 goals right for the past 10 matches or something like that. I still believe that's the stats. And Liverpool 4th, then Fulham, Brighton and Bournemouth. Focus on Newcastle, Chelsea and Wolves first as the defensive asset, potentially keeping clean sheet and attacking return. What do you think, man?
Sorry, which one?
The Newcastle, Chelsea, Wolves is the priority one based on the clean sheet odds.
Yeah, so Newcastle, I think definitely, Ipswich have lost their set piece taker, Leif Davis. So that's a right back. So the back. So that means that he got sent off for knocking Saka. He's partly responsible for Saka not starting the second match, I would say. Because right. I'm sure when the Davis tackled Saka, the Arsenal bench had almost a heart attack because they need him for the Champions League, and that resulted in him being benched for the second round. So anyway, coming back to the point. So yes, so Newcastle clean sheet is definitely on. I feel that they do have the strongest chance of getting clean sheet, but the problem as well is that they also have Isaac, because you arguably maybe the argument of having triple up on your Newcastle defense to get the maximum clean sheet. But then you can't when you have someone like Isaac, Murphy who are scoring, well, Harvey Barnes are scoring. It doesn't make sense to go all in on the defense when the attack is very, very attractive. So but I pick at least one. Maybe Pope or Livramento. Those who like set pieces can go for Trippier. I'm not a fan. But I do feel that the best defender in that Newcastle lineup is for FPL is Livramento. Gets forward a lot.
Right.
Yeah. Chelsea. Okay. So the thing with Everton is that ever since Moyes took over, if I'm not wrong, they've only failed to score twice. One is against City last week, and the other one was against Liverpool. I think so. Yeah. So other than that, they've always managed to score. It was, they're not known for scoring, and in fact, their attack stats kind of suck on average, but somehow they find a way to score. So I guess, but of course the thing with Chelsea, we sometimes confused as to which Chelsea team will turn up. They haven't been doing well in attack. They've been struggling quite a bit. Yeah, so maybe the defense is the better option for them. Someone like Reece James, or I wouldn't. I trust Robert Sanchez as far as I can throw him. So no, but maybe Reece James if you're considering a Chelsea defender.
I think another popular asset for defense is right now people looking at Cucurella because he has potential of Bombardier and also scoring goals. I think
scoring goals as well. Yeah. Wolves, I think definitely an option. I think plenty of drafts have Ryan Altnori at the moment, and
I think that guy is a lot. I don't think people should overthink. That's all.
Okay. And, I mean, while we were looking at this, I had 2 weeks ago, I put Sa in as my goalkeeper as well, together with RAN and Altnuri. But I mean, he got a problem during the warm up against Manchester United, and
the Bentley play.
So probably have to check the team news on that if you are looking to bring in Sa. But yeah, Wolves, the other option, definitely Wolves at home. Even Leicester newly relegated, you think they're going to do a lot, but Wolves are going to be too strong under Pereira. They just do well. So definitely, have a defender, which I guess the most popular option right now is RAN.
Yeah.
So
great. Let's take a look. Free hit draft template, so-called, from Fantasy Football Scout. I actually stamped this one. I think most people are looking at this. You can see that triple up Newcastle, double up Fulham, and then we can have Liverpool players there and a couple of Wolves players. So we already talked about that. So in goals, FS Scout has Leno away to Fulham, and I believe Leno also good at keeping clean sheet and also make some save point, and he could easily get a big haul this week. And I think Leno have some potential double digit haul in him, which is good. And then we talk about Newcastle defender Trippier. You can go Leno, Livramento. You could go Shah. I don't think it's right. Please don't go Denver. That's all I can say. Altnuri, it's a lot, right? I think I agree with that. Cucurella, because we did mention about potentially Chelsea keeping a clean sheet, so that's why Cucurella is there. I think this is where we need to mix up into balance out. You want double defense, Fulham or Chelsea or Wolves, you can have Salah or Nuri, but I think this could be a balanced one. In midfield, double up Salah and Diaz from Liverpool, attackers. Mbomo in there. I think that's popular. I think Mbomo and Palmer might not so intense in terms of the stats or odds mentioning whether they can win. But Mbomo scored 18 points, Gameweek 33. So pretty much people are looking at him away to Forest. Despite away to Forest, I don't know. He's in here. No Cole Palmer. Okay. But Jacob Murphy, one rep from Newcastle. You could have Barnes in there. I don't mind, I think. So this is 3-4-3. I said Cunha, Raul, Jimenez. Don't no overthink. Just get the striker who play the promoted side. So I think pretty much this is the template that people will go. But what do you think, man?
Yeah, I'm staring at the two bench, TAA and Ryan Sessegnon. It's like, oh, because with Sessegnon playing out of position, he's shown himself to be.
That's another one that people are looking at. All right.
Yeah. But the problem with Sessegnon is that Harry Wilson, whose spot he took, is now back. So he will definitely hurt in terms of minutes. Although I do think that Ryan Sessegnon will still start. But we do know that Wilson, when he comes off the bench, he can be explosive.
Yeah.
He can turn, So chances are it will definitely take minutes off him. So that's something you have to take into account.
I want to ask about TAA, Min. How do you think TAA come out from the bench last week? Do you think he has the prospect of starting this game and go to the party at home against us?
Definitely. I mean, if you look at sentimental value, because right now there's a large section of Liverpool fans who don't want him to play anymore or don't even start this match because of his thing with Real Madrid. But for me, I choose to recognize the fact that it's thanks to him that we've gotten to this point as well. You can't deny his contributions this season to get there. And there's a bad will in the past few weeks, but then I'm sure it dissipated a bit after last week's heroic super sub performance. It was just you just knew that kind of thing. When TA got subbed in, like I think we're gonna see something happen, and it did. So the question now is to whether or not he'll start. I think he will. I think he deserves a start. Regardless of whether or not he'll be here next season, it doesn't matter to me. But for this week, it's Anfield. I think he will start.
Okay, great.
So in terms of the picks, in terms of the other picks, Mbeumo is a. I think the point of having him is because he hauled last week, and he's going to play against Forest. Who will probably be tired or might have some injuries. Yeah, but there was an interesting stat with Mbeumo where I think he's got double digits 6 times and this season, and for 5 of those he failed to score the week after.
The following week, okay.
Yeah, it's very random, so I wouldn't say this is a pattern, but just to put it in your heads, for those who are considering Mbeumo. So the other options, Salah, I don't like Trippier. I prefer Livramento. Yeah. Okay. The Diaz thing is very tricky. Trying to figure out which Liverpool player you want to join in for the party. So you got Diaz, and I guess you got Jota as a possible option, and and I want to throw Szoboszlai into the mix as well. Yeah, but we have to think that are they gonna, because we haven't seen the free scoring Liverpool for a while now. So is that gonna happen? Is that gonna happen this weekend? We all sentimental. We all think that's gonna happen, but statistically we haven't seen that. So it will take a leap of faith.
Okay, fair. But I don't know. Outsider like me believe that Luis Diaz is the best second asset for Liverpool if you want to double attack, because Mo Salah is the highest top scorer from Liverpool, and second is Luis Diaz with 165 points. So the points is there. Although you did mention about the likes of Jota, Szoboszlai could rival, but I do believe even though Luis Diaz has been hurting me when I had him early of the season, but I believe this could be a potential if, let's say, Liverpool win big. Luis Diaz should be in the mix. That's my feeling.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Anyone else you want to touch? Do you believe that I said Cunha and Jimenez is the best formation forward for this week? Maybe we can agree. I say Acuna is a lock.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, Cunha for me, as those who've watched our videos know, I have a thing for Cunha lah. So but is he the best forward for Wolves? Because with Strand Larsen there, I'm not sure. Isaac, I have to agree, and I think my first draft doesn't have him, but I think I'm gonna have to put him because the Ipswich match just looks, for Isaac not being able to score against Ipswich is gonna be a random freak of nature for that to happen. So Raul Jimenez, I'm not so sure. Fulham are the only team that are playing among these three matches who are playing away.
Yep.
But I do understand that Muniz is injured, so making Jimenez a sharp pick. But I do wonder whether someone like Iwobi might be a better option for.
I said Cunha, Jimenez, main striker for those team and take penalty. So
yeah,
really.
I don't know because Sarabia's excellent free kick. If he gets a start, Sarabia is the first choice penalty taker if he's on the field over Cunha.
All right. Okay, fair. Right. I think we already talk about the template of Soccer Baby, but I think some other people also mentioned. I watched FPL Wire yesterday. Zofa, Pras, and even LR did mention Palmer should be in and a lot. As a Chelsea fan, yes, I know Palmer can potentially have high scoring game, but he doesn't show that yet, and his form quite bad. I know this match is important for Chelsea, and Chelsea need to win. But could they win big? They could win 1-0 at most, but I don't think they can win like 3-0, 4-0 against Everton, which is a decent side. That's my opinion. But if they say you think Palmer is a great choice for this week because it's on set pieces, penalty, and talisman, I understand. So I think you could also do that decision.
You want me to give an opinion?
I don't know. That's my feeling as a Chelsea fan. I think you can't go wrong if, let's say, you take Palmer in your team, but we want high ceiling this week, right? We want player that want to produce double digit or at least attacking return. I think that's the aim. So I want to pick who possibly can return me that.
So because the thing is, you got Everton, who defensively are a very solid side. They're really strong. Hell, they managed to keep Mamouche off, although City eventually scored. But and one factor is Michael Keane is going to start in place of Tarkowski, and Michael Keane is not as great. It's nowhere at the same level of Tarkowski. But at the same time, it's hard for me to think that Moyes would not have spent enough time to still improve him as a defender. And thinking that Michael Keane playing instead of Tarkowski is a signal for Chelsea to just go ballistic. When Chelsea haven't gone ballistic for God knows how many matches now, I've lost count, and Palmer hasn't scored for. I've counted for. So I just cannot accept why is it suddenly for this match Chelsea are gonna Palmer is supposed to be the best pick for this, and yes, he's take set pieces, he's on penalties, he's the talisman, but he has been all three for the past 8-9 weeks now, and he hasn't delivered. So I just don't understand why, just because it's a free hit week, this is the week that he'll deliver. So for me, Chelsea, I'm definitely not. I mean, I do feel some of the problem is because we don't have Arsenal picks, we don't have City picks, so we have money to spend.
We have money, okay.
Yeah, we have a lot of money, so Palmer is an easy pick, but I'm just not convinced. I cannot see it. So when I wildcarded, I sold Palmer. When I wildcarded a few weeks back, I did not put in Palmer, even though I knew Palmer was going to play Ipswich the week after I wildcarded. And yeah. We've seen
Alright.
it. So.
Fair. Let's talk about Captaincy Pick before we show our draft team and we can debate on the players. Captaincy Pick, is it clear enough that Salah is the best captaincy for this week? This is what being pointed out in the points prediction from Fantasy Football Hub members area. Salah is predicting to score 8.1 and second is Isaac at 7.1. After that, Palmer 6.5. Okay, I don't know, but then I rate Cunha higher to score big this week over Palmer, but this is what the prediction. And Barnes at 5th. Potentially, I think Mo Salah and Isaac is fighting, or maybe Cunha is also in the mix for the best captaincy this week. What do you think, man?
Yeah, so just now we were talking about how Palmer's form is very bad, but Salah's form hasn't been great either in terms of actual output. In the past, in game week 28, he scored against Southampton. It was 2 penalties, you remember. And he's blanked ever since, 30th, 31, 32, 33. Palmer, I haven't checked, but I remember it was really, really rubbish. He has assists, but not goals, right? Yeah. Oh my God, it's so long. Since game week 21 was the last time he scored a goal. Okay. So if I were to look at based on form, Isaac is way the best pick. You know, but even Isaac hasn't. You know, Isaac did score in the double game week. He did manage.
Scored an assist. Okay.
He did manage to get but I mean he did manage to go last week during the double game week because he didn't have a double game week last week, the week before. So he had a goal and assist in that game week. So he's the best, and his record between Salah and Palmer, he has the best record. So I feel that Isaac is the best choice, but the problem is, of course, he is a striker. Not
lesser point.
So that's one less point of and the possibility of clean sheet as well. So that's going to be a factor. Cunha, you're just going to have to be brave to take a punt because it's just he's definitely good, but because you have Salah and Isaac up there whose potential is higher and playing for stronger teams who are in the Champions League spots, and Cunha's team isn't in the Champions League spot, and in fact, Wolves have nothing to play for right now compared to Salah, Isaac, and Palmer. Wolves are just riding on a good field factor, so they have nothing to play and nothing to play for. Forget Barnes. You're going to captain Barnes over Isaac. I just don't see people doing it. So, yeah.
So, I think the narrative this week, Mo Salah at home, they're going to be really top up in terms of getting those wins for winning the Premier League. And then their opponent is Spurs, who are really, really off form. So I think that's another point why this could blow up and Mo Salah potentially and like you mentioned against Leicester, he could easily haul, and this could be the week where Liverpool win in style and Mo Salah produce the performance of his life to win that game. So that could be a possibility. But I don't doubt Isaac also can be rival in terms of pick for this week. But it's going to be brave if let's say you're not captain Salah this week. I think all those narrative points to Salah. That's all I can say.
I'm curious to see the press conference for Spurs into what his plan is to how Angie is going to approach this match.
All right, let's go to our team draft. So at least we can see how we're thinking so far. I think this is my team. As I mentioned, I think I'm going to focus on the Newcastle, Wolves, and Liverpool asset for this thing. So you can see that I triple up Newcastle, Trippier, Murphy. I said that Trippier could easily be Shah or Livramento. We shall see, but at this juncture is Trippier. And then Anouri and Cunha, I think it's a lot to me. I don't want to overthink. I think those are the two best players for Wolves. Anouri has shown he can score a goal and assist somewhere a few weeks back, and he got that double digit, and he is against Leicester. So I think I'm going to overthink that. And then I have triple Liverpool asset here, with the thinking that TA going to start. Okay, but if let's say TA not going to start, then Senior could come in or Cucurella. I think I'm going to decide that. Luis Diaz, I believe, I think it's a lot for me. I don't want to overthink. Liverpool going to win this big, and Luis Diaz could hold also. So Mo Salah and Luis Diaz, I think for me, is a lot. 3 Newcastle asset also is a lot. But I'm not sure whether I want to triple up in attack. Then Murphy, Barnes, and I said, because you can see the clean sheet odds there, shown that Newcastle has potentially keeping clean sheet. And I want to go for defender who could actually produce attacking return. I have Clivert here. No Palmer, no Mbomo. Because I believe Clivert also should have that attention. They play at Manchester United, who has been bad, and their focus will be in Europa League. And Clivert is a talisman. He takes penalty, he takes some set pieces, I believe. And he has shown he has 2 records, if I may point out here, 2 records of hat-trick this season in a week. And this could be another week. We just don't know. I like Evan Easton, to be frank, but I'm not sure whether I want to double up in terms of Bournemouth asset. I could do that, but I just want to put that well back because I just want to hedge something. And Brighton against West Ham, maybe Brighton wins and Welbeck in the mix. And Leno, Palmer, Cucurella says, in my bench, but those I'm not sure. I don't think I'm going to play Palmer this year, but you just never know any of those players not playing, and Palmer could come in. I have Sales in goal. People don't like Sales, but I have sentimental value in. I don't know. And Forest has been good at home. They have kept 13 shutouts, clean sheet, if I may say. And Sales can also make some save points. And who knows, Forest keep another clean sheet 1 year and Sales get 8 points. He could easily get that. So I don't know. I still trust that keeper, and at least I have a player playing on Thursday. So I don't know. This is my team for now.
Yeah, the need to have a player on Thursday, that always riles in my head, and having one player for the last week, the last game of the week. Isaac Cunha, and so you got Welbeck instead of the Scouts Jimenez. So you definitely bought into the odds thing for Brighton scoring against West Ham, I suppose. Clivert. Well, Clivert, since he's come back, I don't know. The thing with Bournemouth is they haven't reached the heights back when Evan Nilsson was injured. But I think the problem with Bournemouth, and because I've got in my latest draft, I think I got a Bournemouth player in, but the problem is figure out who's going to score. And we saw the one where you reap the dividends because you had Semenyo, and he was the only player to score, and he made off with the full bonus and clean sheet. So that's the challenge with Bournemouth, lah.
Understand.
Yeah. So other than that, Diaz, so TA, Salah, Trippier. I mentioned I prefer Livramento, but Aït-Nouri can't go wrong. So I think Aït-Nouri, Salah, Isaac, Cunha, and Trippier are probably going to be the template, typical template. And but I dare say that Palmer will be more template.
I think so. What people will do, they have Palmer, Mbomo, and Salah, and it could be one of those Newcastle midfielder. I think that's the template people will go.
Yeah, so the Newcastle midfield is a bit of a tricky thing because with Gordon back, so how are we going to play it? I think we really need to look at that press conference and hope one journalist who plays FPL will ask those questions. Because it is tricky.
Good news. I think Eddie Howe returned to work. So I don't know whether he's going to do the press conference, but we shall see.
Yeah.
I think this is my team. I pretty much see. Maybe I'm lacking Fulham player, despite they're playing away to. But Welbeck could easily be around Jimenez, and I go really template up front especially.
Yeah, you got 2 Fulham players on your bench and 2 Chelsea players on your bench. So that's London represent on the bench.
All right, let's go to your team, man. What's your latest thinking? But this is what you shared with me.
Okay, so this is what I shared. I can tell you it's changed. So I had Pope Livramento and Murphy, which is basically my team from the double game week that we had. I didn't make any changes there. So Robinson and Sessegnon. So I'm pretty sure Sessegnon will start, not Wilson, and because he's done well and there's no reason for him to change yet. But the thing is, the risk minutes are a risk, and I can accept that. I've also picked up Robinson because I think with this whole hoo-ha versus Sessegnon, we've forgotten that Robinson has been such a solid contributor of FPL points. So I think that he's a pick there. But of course, when you look at it, the thing with Fulham again that I mentioned just now was that Fulham are playing away, so there is that issue there. So then Murphy, Mbeumo, Salah, and Bowen. Yeah, so Mbeumo off the double game week win, and Bowen, who I mentioned, even last week that Bowen's someone to have for the rest of the season because I think he's going to do well. So yeah, Bowen here I think it's a good pick. Brighton will always find a way to concede. So I was not happy with figuring out who Cunha, Strand Larsen is, so I ended up with both. and I went for Evan Nilsson because I think we tend to forget that Evan Nilsson is actually he played for Porto before he joined Bournemouth, so there's a quality striker there. It's just we don't know Bournemouth will have what it takes. So and they play Manchester United, who like Spurs are going to be distracted because they have Europa League first, the semis coming up. So it's a question of how we've seen Manchester United rotate against Wolves the other day. So I can see it happening again. So then you have Leno, Kluivert, Bradley, Milinkovic. To be fair, this bench, I didn't really think of it that well. But, it could just as easily be someone like Palmer or Enzo. So I can tell you that I've changed it a bit now because I no longer want my two Wolves players up front. I feel that's just, I think I'm overdoing it too much. And Isaac is into my starting lineup. I think I've taken a holiday from Isaac long enough. I think for the free hit against a promoted team, Isaac could really haul, and I'm strongly considering captaining him over Salah. So it does mean that I've had to let go of one of my Newcastle players, and that Newcastle player is most likely going to be Pope, simply because I can have Leno there in a triple Fulham. if I know, or if Sa is fit, then I'll pick in Sa. Yeah, but I'm having problems with Issa and Ait Nouri as well. So we'll see what happened there, because I do like Ait Nouri as an option, and I think he will be, as we just now mentioned, he will be a very popular option. The only problem is that I'm a Liverpool fan. How come I don't have another Liverpool attacker in my lineup? I'm still hesitant given Liverpool's lack of free flow goal scoring. Of course, this is a celebration. I expect to see something happen. And I'm still toying with the idea of Trent Alexander-Arnold. Need to get some news from the press conference.
So pretty much we still not locked in terms of final, but I think some of the core players will be there. We just need to finalize those teams after that news.
Salah, Cunha, and Isaac. I don't think I'd be surprised if any team was without Salah, Cunha, and Isaac. I thought I wanted to go rogue with Isaac, but nah. I think it's that's too ridiculous.
But I think this pretty much people will look at. I think you can't go wrong. If you have Newcastle, you have Fulham, you have Wolves, right?
And then Liverpool.
I think Mbeumo and Palmer is. I think I want to go different. Mbeumo and Palmer, if I see people have, they can have it. I'll go some other, like you have Bowen here. That could be really differential, and you just never know Bowen can return against Brighton. I don't think people will have a lot of that Kluivert and Bowen. Who else? I don't think people will have those players.
I think it'll be a very fun week. So and the only reason I have Mbeumo, to be honest, is because so I can have one player at the end. So but that can change. It can change. We'll see.
All right. I think I just want to address because some people also have uh, don't have option to free hit this week and they have nothing else to do and they want to plan which player to get. So, because I think I have my my IPA that mentioned that he is in good position. He doesn't have free hit. He asked me this question: what kind of player should I bring in? So let's take a look at fixture ticker. This is the what left into the season, the 5 game week left, and you can see there Forest is up there if you're thinking who to bring because Forest have Brentford at home, Crystal Palace, then they have Leicester and they have West Ham before at home against Chelsea, and you just never know that Forest against Chelsea could be the decider on the European Champions League spot. You just never know if that can happen. So that's Forest. You can just fill in your players, and they have really decent fixture for the rest of the season. Second is Ipswich. I don't think people will go there. Wolves also have some decent fixture. Leicester this week. City not so much, but then Brighton, Crystal Palace, and Brentford. And if let's say you end up with Cunha or Adnuri, I don't think you should worry because you can play all these matches despite maybe they are safe, but they're still a decent team to play. Leicester not so much. Everton, I think this is some conversation in the community about Wakadi in 34 or maybe 35 and double up, triple up in terms of Everton players. So I can see them why because they have Ipswich and Southampton in the next 4 or 5 game weeks. So potentially that could have some high return. Now West Ham, we did mention about that. Brighton this week, but Spurs, MU sandwich in the European League competition. Forest at home, and then Ipswich at the end of the game week 28. Brentford, another one. Mbomo, you can play Manchester Forest, United, Ipswich, Fulham, Wolves. I think it's excellent.
Yep.
So you end up with Mbomo and Visa. So I just want to touch on that high bracket. But the lower one, Chelsea, Arsenal, Palace, maybe the one that you should avoid because the fixture quite bad. Liverpool there, 2 all player, and Newcastle also in the mix. So I think that's why I think after this people will ditch that Crystal Palace asset unless they gave it 34. We know FA Cup they win against Villa, and then we have the different conversation.
Check out Bournemouth. Bournemouth play Manchester United, distracted. Arsenal, distracted. Villa, potentially distracted. City, wait, when's the FA Cup final? 17 May.
37.
Yeah. So potentially distracted. And finalized with Leicester, who have been distracted the whole season. So it's quite a fun thing, But again, I mentioned just now, figure out who's gonna be the one who scores. It's gonna be a trick. But
if let's say people wanna ask about advice who to pick for the remaining season, if let's say you don't have this kind of chips left, I think the Forest, the West Ham, and the Brentford maybe the one that we can see.
Brentford definitely, and I would consider Bournemouth as well. Leicester plays Southampton in Ipswich, but it's not something to do. The problem with Everton is they're not great at FPL points. So, but if you fancy Beto finally, scoring, that he went on that scoring run.
But Beto, I didn't think he start. I think for the past 2, Broja did start, so I'm not sure about
Broja, but with it, the starting status is not great. I personally like McNeil, but then that's one risk too far for me. If I wanted to pick an Everton player, so I won't be picking Everton players. West Ham, just now we mentioned Bone, definitely a great option. Wolves will be a great option. I know these teams don't have anything to play for, but the risk with Wolves is that they are safe, no issue. Will Cunha start every game, given that he's made sounds he's gonna leave? Yeah, but I personally have the feel that Pereira should continue to play him so that it will also to market him very well and get him for a really, really good price. So get people into a bidding war. So I'm not worried about Cunha. I think he will continue to start, regardless of this Bellegarde thing that that's been mentioned. So the only other risk is Forest lah, because Forest, they have great fixtures, but that FA Cup tie could be a bit of a risk.
Right. All right. I think that is concluded our stream. Let's take some question. You can see Rakan FPL posted some question, but can we address Liverpool Eden Ross question first? Main of which best differential player this week. Love the content. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Min, who you suggest?
I'm sorry. This one is quite a you're never gonna believe who I have on my team now. Which I don't have Palmer. I have Enzo in my team at the moment. So whether or not he stays there, but if I were to look at my current team in terms of the biggest differential, it's Enzo. The other player who's arguably a differential is Evan Nilsson. I'm not sure if he's a big thing, but it's just because of Manchester United. Because after what we saw Manchester United's rotation last week, so I expect to see it happen, something like that again as they prepare for the Europa League. So Enzo's my best differential player this week because I feel that he has the possibility and he's a bit more informed. Not as bad as Palmer, but yeah, he's slightly better in terms of his form over the past 7 weeks or so. Yeah. So Enzo, that's my differential player.
I just take a look on in terms of ownership. Evanescence is 4.9% owned by manager.
So little. Didn't know.
Yes.
Because even Enzo is like 3.7. So okay.
So that can be differentiated, and not all managers will have Evanescence and only by free hitting. If let's say people go combo Rahul, Jimenez, Cunha, and also Isaac, if let's say you go Evanescence, then you can
just a point. Sessegnon is currently at 2.5% ownership, but that's because no one has him, and you expect him in ownership to increase big time for the free hit. So yeah.
Fair. All right. So for me, one differential 2.9%, but he is a Liverpool player, and Azmin did own him at one point, Mr. Soboslai, who have a big weekend against Spurs. So that's my differential. All right. Let's go. Cunha or Larson? I think Cunha, but I don't know if they say double up is better. What do you think?
Yeah, if I had to choose between, I would still go for Cunha because the moment he gets a return, he's more likely to run off with a bonus as well. So yeah, Larson is just for goals.
Yeah. Keep Palmer on free hit 34. If let's say you're feeling about Palmer, then you could do that. But both of us did mention about form. Palmer are not on form right now. Okay.
He's in neither of our first 11s at the moment.
Munit C. Munit C ni siapa? I forgot.
Munit C. I also don't know who Munit C is. I can't remember. No, he was mentioned. Who is that guy? The Wolves guy.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
But no lah. I mean, if you want to have him, put him on your bench because he's not sure he starts, but he's not a regular scorer. I mean, he's only had 1 goal and 1 assist or something like that. So no, definitely not an option for me.
Kluivert or Luis Diaz? If let's say you need to choose one, Which one would you go, Min?
I go for Luis Diaz.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Kluivert takes penalties and bouncing free kicks, but I go for Luis Diaz.
Mbomo against Forest, is it a trap this week? It could be, but if they say Forest some rather falter, then you know who's going to score from Brentford side.
It could be, but yeah, because the thing with Forest is that at home they play a really good game, and and really let they don't push. They don't play the what game? I can't remember. Trying to the pressure game. They don't do that. They just let them have the ball, and then so statistically they suck, but somehow at Forest they're strong. So it might. I feel it's a trap.
All right. So Bolsla, good punt. I think Azmin did mention, and I also did share. So
Just need to make sure he starts though, because he has been benched a couple of times. Yeah.
Kalau Azmin dah cakap macam tu, I'm a bit worried lah. Alright. Cucurella or Kirkus?
Cucurella.
I think I agree on that. Isaac captain. Potentially Azmin going to captain Isaac because on
It
form.
could very well, for me not having him in my draft to captaining him. That's how far the pendulum is swung.
Kita tengok this pressure nanti how we feel, but Eddie Jansen maybe salah, but Isaac could be really good differential. Cunha could be bench because of his transfer saga. I don't think so, right?
Yeah, I think we mentioned it just now, and I don't think so.
Welbeck thought maybe an option. I think without João Pedro, Welbeck will be on penalty.
Could be. I'm not sure. Yeah, Mitoma, no. Minte, no. Yeah, could be.
Right, but I think it's more down in terms of when you're picking Ebenezer, maybe Raul Jimenez first before Welbeck, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Bradley, keep or sell? Would you play Bradley this week? I think we need to hear from Slot what he's saying.
Yeah, this one's a trick because of TAA, and that's why I don't have TAA in my draft at the moment. It really is dependent on the press conference.
All right, great stuff. This is coming to the end of the stream for Gameweek 34. The deadline this week will be on Saturday, 6 p.m. Malaysian time. So quite early.
Yeah. So just a reminder, just now we mentioned about, in terms of the chips. Yeah, because it's for those of you who aren't free hitting this week, you probably already knew you weren't going to free hit, so you've already adjusted in terms of being able to meet, maybe you save transfers or something. So hopefully you have a good week. And of course, when you're transferring in, you always look for this set of players. You're looking for having these players until the end of the season. So that's something there. For those of you the few of you who are on the AM chip, Brentford versus Forest could be your ticket for the bonus. Yeah.
Table bonus. Okay.
That could be it. Yeah. So that's my recommendation there.
All right. Thank you guys for joining the stream. Do hit the like button and subscribe to our FPL Jedi YouTube channel to support us. And we shall see you again. And good luck to everyone, whether you're free hitting or not. All the best with your pick. Until then, take care and bye-bye.
Bye.